Today, we're talking about the venture case for the Insta360 One X. 5.38 miles, 7 minutes, 56 seconds per mile today. A beautiful sunrise along the lakefront in Chicago, and going for a first run with the Insta360 One X venture case. Now, those of you who have been around here for a while know that I have already killed one Insta360 One X due to water, because that camera is not waterproof rated at all, although I treated it as if it were. Eventually the thing just died on me. And now I'm on my second Insta360 One X, and I'm not faulting Insta360, at least not yet. And so when I bought the second one, I thought I would try to get the new venture case. Now, I know that there was a dive case that was already available for the Insta360 One X before, but I think there were some problems with it, or something was going on. A lot of their accessories are always out of stock, and for the entire time I had my first 360 camera, that dive case was out of stock and unavailable. And there were some indications that made it look like, even if you could find one from some random seller, either on eBay or on Amazon, that it wasn't a great product, that it was something that they were working on improving. And so this is the new venture case. They have two waterproof cases. The venture case is for kind of light water and splashes, and then the dive case is for actual underwater sports. Insta360 says that the dive case is for underwater sports specifically because of the way the dome handles the light refraction and the way that light behaves underwater. And so that one's a little bit different. And so now I have the venture case, and I went for a first run with it, thinking that this could be the new way that I protect my Insta360 One X, get all those shots that I love, but also be a little bit more of a responsible camera owner. So I tried it out today, and I'm gonna tell you that I don't like this thing. It's giant. It's really big. Here it is compared to the Insta360 One X itself. And here's that venture case next to it. I mean, the thing is really big, and it's not light. It's extremely heavy, and there's just so many parts. Even just to get to it, you're unscrewing this, basically a GoPro mount that they put at the bottom. There's an outer layer of plastic that then encapsulates the case, which the case then has like a GoPro type of hinge, and then you insert the camera. You have to, don't forget, they have like an anti-fog insert, which from what I could tell is kind of like a piece of like, not cardboard, but some sort of just absorptive material. I thought it would have like some sort of sticky thing on top of it to make it hold in place, but it just kind of sits in there. And then you close everything back up, get the outer plastic back on, and then screw it back down. All together, it makes for an extremely heavy product. And then you're supposed to put it at the end of your selfie stick, or however you're gonna carry it. And I gotta tell you, I'm used to carrying relatively heavy weights while I'm running, even long distances. And I've had a GoPro Hero 7 at the end of this same stick, and I thought that was pretty heavy, but overall manageable. This is even heavier than that. It's heavier than, imagine putting your phone at the end of a long selfie stick. This is probably 2 to 3 times heavier than that, at least in terms of how it feels. And then when you do have the selfie stick extended, like the physics are just crazy over it in terms of the amount of apparent weight that you're feeling. And then you have this potential problem as well. And so I've had parts of today's run where I was holding it kind of at the side, like from my hip, but holding it out this way. And I just felt like the torque of all that weight at the end was really stressful on my arm. I mean, I'm not the strongest guy, but I have been running with cameras at the end of long selfie sticks for quite a while now. So I'm kind of used to what's normal. And then this problem that I just kind of coincidentally ran into, yes, you can really cinch down this GoPro bolt, but having run with a GoPro at the end of this stick as well, I also know that no matter how hard you crank that down, sometimes this thing is still just going to flex, especially if I'm, say, splashing through water or waves. And my concern with that is that even if I have this cinched down really tightly, if it moves even ever so slightly, it's going to throw everything off in terms of the way that these two lenses work together and eliminate the selfie stick. So even today in one of the clips, you could see there was a lot of selfie stick still in the shot, and that's because this was a little bit askew. Now granted, it's not perfect all the time, even when I have the camera directly attached to the selfie stick without the case. So let's take this off, and there's the 1/4-20 mount at the bottom of the Insta360 One X, and it just connects directly to it. So there's no chance or possibility that you'll accidentally have this thing tilting in the wrong direction. So even when this is done like this and it's perfectly extended out, there have been times where I still see the stick. So I'm not like saying that the Venture case is an absolute failure. I just don't understand some of the choices that they've made. This thing is rated for 5 meters of water, and they say that it's not intended for rough waves or for underwater use. And for that situation, then why is this, number one, so rugged? So I guess that's good that it's rugged, but it's like it seems way over engineered, i.e. heavy. And then why did they choose to make it a GoPro mount at the bottom? Because this introduced a motion point. And so I just don't really like this product at all. I wish it were directly connected to the pole without the potential for bending here, and I wish it just were lighter. And especially now that I have the Insta360 Go, and this thing is IPX4, which is like, I think the right level. Maybe IPX5 is what I need in terms of the way that I get my cameras wet. But this is really close, and it's so maddening that this thing is so tiny and so light, and that the Venture case is so gigantic and still misses the mark in terms of what I want it to do. Now granted, it does work perfectly fine. You can still access all the buttons that you need to. And so it's not like it doesn't function. It's just not usable because it's so heavy. I suppose if I were like, but it's not meant for diving. I'm thinking if I was underwater and like snorkeling or scuba diving with it, I wouldn't mind that weight. It probably wouldn't be all that noticeable. But for someone that's going to run with it or do any sort of action sports with it, it's just too heavy. This thing is tiny light, and it's so maddening that I just can't have this like little film layer, plastic layer of coating on top of the Insta360 One X. And this is now where I'm going to start faulting Insta360 for not making the One X more splash resistant. You got to figure out a way to do that. I need it. People that are using this camera are going to need it. When you put the Insta360 One X through splashes, through water, through waves, it's just absolutely beautiful and so much fun. I wish there were a way that I could do it without having to put that giant case on. The silver lining in all this, in using this $50 case, which is out of stock by the way now, they're already sold out, is that I knew that once I put a camera in here, I wouldn't be able to hear any audio. Now I don't frequently talk to the camera while I'm running with it, with a 360 camera, but in situations like races, when I do want to give you like in-race updates of how I'm doing or how things are going, that's an instance where I do need to talk to the camera. So knowing that putting it inside the case would make it impossible to do that, I've already started thinking about how I can incorporate this into my kind of running rig. And so in the Insta360 Go video, I talked about how there's the case that has a 1/4 mount on it. And this Insta360 stick, which I love, and I think everyone should get if you're running with action cameras, no matter what kind, get this stick, it's amazing. It has a 1/4 mount at the bottom. So I think what I'm gonna start doing, and what I was going to do for the Venture case, but I think ultimately I'm just gonna throw caution to the wind, maybe be a little bit careful with it in terms of getting it wet, but I'm just gonna run with it kind of without a case. And for my 360 shots, I'm gonna have this for the slow motion, but for the stabilized shots that this can provide, I'm gonna put it at the end and use it in kind of regular video mode versus slow motion video mode. You have all the great Insta360 stabilization available. So I think that for footage where I want either regular speed footage, or if I want to be able to talk to it, the audio's not good as GoPro. I think the two areas where GoPros are super underrated is in their dynamic range, for example, when you're capturing sunrises, or in audio, when you're running and trying to talk to the camera. This, I think I'm gonna test a little bit more, keep playing around with it, because it's just so light. To have kind of like a dual lightsaber kind of setup here is, I think, actually workable. So I'm thinking for when I need to talk to the camera, I'll have it this way, or if I need to get regular speed footage of, say, like my shoes or the scenery or whatever it is, I could do this. And then if I need to get 360 footage in slow motion, I extend the stick and then I'll capture footage this way. So that's what I think I'm gonna use. I love the idea of the Venture case. It's just too big. I'm not gonna use it, it's too heavy. Getting it in and out of the case is really difficult as well. It takes forever. That's why I haven't done it on camera. It just takes so long. And it's only a problem because the ports are really important to access on the camera when you want to actually work with it. You got to get the SD card out, or even if you don't want to get the SD card out, you have to connect it to something to at least charge. And so it's just not something I want to deal with on a regular basis. I'm not going to deal with on a regular basis. I think that maybe if I'm going to like the lake, or if I'm going to a water park, or if I'm gonna spend some time where I know I'm gonna be jumping in water, that's a situation where I might use it. But otherwise, from day to day, it's not really for me. So those are my thoughts on the Insta360 One X Venture case, and how I'm going to be running with not only my Insta360 One X, but also the Insta360 Go going forward. Or at least I'm going to start playing around with that, testing that out, see if that's something that's usable or even worth it for me. I think it's going to be, so I get kind of the best of both worlds in terms of high frame rate stuff and low frame rate stuff, and image quality, stabilization, all those things. So that's what I'm going to be working with. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Before I go, I do want to remind you guys about the charity runner for this week. It's Justin Gingerich, and he's running the New York City Marathon for MDA. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?